After a season of struggle, this offense needs to change, and Matt Nagy is on his way out today on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Check out another Locked On show for your next one. This is Locked On Chiefs, your daily podcast with the Kansas City Chiefs on the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network out there. We appreciate you everydayers being here all the time. We can't say that enough. And for another Locked On show, check that out. But if you want even more and you want something special, check out the Everydayer Club, where you can sign up, go ad free. I know that you guys want that. We have a great show for you. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, the home of the athletic matrix that gives you the best athletes in this draft class. And I'm already working on it here, folks. So check it out over there, as well as NFL 33, where I dropped my coaching carousel commentary today. You'll have another piece, as well as all of our draft work for me and my whole staff. And over at RGR Football, where we take another slant on the Chiefs, break it all down from the film and everything else. This is Chris Clark, my partner of 9 seasons on this show. Next year will be our 10th. You can find him at KC Chiefs Corner. That's where his work gets laid down. And we've been doing this for a very long time. We've seen a lot of things come and go, including a lot of the coaching staff. And today, that's where we're going. Matt Nagy's in demand all over the place. What does that mean, and who's the most likely candidate? That's where we start. Then we're going to get right into what does that mean for the impact for the Kansas City Chiefs, about who might take over that role or the role below it or the cascade of dominoes that comes. And then how will this offense change? What must change? And what's kind of a roll of the dice? That's all coming up today. And we're going to get started with the fact Matt Nagy on Thursday, by the time you guys hear this, will be interviewing with a couple of teams. One we've talked about before, the Tennessee Titans. Mike Morganzi used to be here. This is a slam dunk as far as I'm concerned. I think there's a couple of questions out here, including the second team. But how are you feeling about old Nagy possibly going to Tennessee or elsewhere?
Before I get there, and I will get there in just a second, I have to say we have seen a lot of things. This is something we haven't seen. We have not seen Kansas City in a position where they're not in the playoffs. Right. This is completely new, and this is good. I'm not excited about how the way the season went, but I'm excited about what this is going to give us the chance to talk about and the way that we're going to be able to look at this roster and get into the depth of what needs to happen and how they need to make changes. I say all that to answer your question about Matt Nagy. I think that he is going to get a head coaching job more than likely. I would be surprised if it's not done by Thursday or Friday, maybe this weekend. I think he's the head coach somewhere. I don't know if it's going to be Tennessee. The second one's the Raiders, right? Which I think is kind of interesting. I can't imagine that is going to be a great situation. And then the third one's the Cardinals. I don't understand. We kind of talked about this a little bit before the show. I don't understand why there's great demand. And quite frankly, here's the other side of that. There was a coach that was let go that has 18 years of head coaching experience. Why would you ever want to go with Matt Nagy if you can go get John Harbaugh?
Because John Harbaugh does not develop or run offenses. That is the case. True. Now, the argument will be, well, we didn't like the offense that Matt Nagy last built in Chicago, but the counter argument is going to be, but he only had Mitch Trubisky and Fields. So there's a lot of back and forth, and there's a lot of reading between the lines about what you like about the Chiefs offense, what you liked about Nagy's Bears offense, and what you think you can project with your personnel. If you're GM, or in some cases an owner because you don't have a GM right now, that you're looking for somebody that has a proven track record of A, head coaching experience, and B, working with two of the best in the business in Hall of Famers Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, that's the resume that gets you in the door. I think the deciding factor is what you do when you're in the interview.
Yeah. No, and I don't disagree with that. I cannot understand why you would want to be going with Matt Nagy. I just don't think he's done well in Kansas City since he came back. And I think that's really what they should be looking at when they're trying to hire a head coach. Whether or not... Wait,
how many Super Bowls have they gone to while he's been back?
Yeah, how well has the offense looked since he's been back?
I'm just saying, defense, it doesn't matter to some owners and GMs.
Yeah, but the defense carried them for the most part since he's been back. The offense has sputtered, And it doesn't make sense why the offense is sputtered with the weapons that they had. On paper, this should have been one of the best offenses that this Chiefs team has ever had, period. Could have been, you could argue that on paper, it looked like it should be one of those offenses that could be one of the best that the NFL has ever seen. It didn't stack out to be that way. And what caused that? Like, I understand Matt Nagy isn't the one calling the plays. I understand that's Andy Reid. And I also get that Andy Reid didn't really have any new creative things that he really did this year that we're used to seeing him do, which I think kind of affected some of this. But you have all these playmakers at your skill positions. Yeah, you missed Rashee Rice for the first 6 games. Hollywood Brown really never did anything. I mean, legitimately, he didn't really take any steps forward. And then you have Xavier Worthy, who got hurt in the first 3 plays of the season. And while he had an okay season, it's definitely not what you want from a former first-round pick. So at this point, you have an offense that is mediocre at best, and that doesn't even get into the running scheme.
True. It does make it difficult. Yet there's going to be multiple interviews here. The one that's intriguing for me is I think the Titans are the Titans, and it puts him in a situation where he's back with another very young quarterback, not a rookie. And it looks like Cam Ward's going to be all right. But that is, a lot of people ask the same question, like, why would Matt Nagy get that? In fact, some journalists that most respect, I think, are way out on a loop in this. Like, they literally are incredulous about why this would be. And it comes down to 2 very, very simple things. The GM knows him inside and out, has worked with him, and they have a quarterback that they think he can develop, that has a similar skill set to some of the things he's done before. That's not hard to put together on film. Whether you think it's a huge risk or a minor risk, I think that's what the variation is.
Yeah, the problem is what QB has he developed? Because I don't think you can argue that he developed Patrick Mahomes. So you look back at who we had before Patrick Mahomes, it was Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields. That's not a great argument for him. I get what you're saying. I don't disagree with the fact that I think that Tennessee is probably the landing spot for him because Borgonzi knows him. Mm-hmm. I just can't see that this is going to be a great scenario for the Tennessee Titans, even though I do think it's probably the direction it goes. Yeah, and by the time you're listening to this, it may already be done.
It could be. I mean, there's the Rudy rule that they have to make sure that they abide by. So I think it could take a little bit more time. But I would just say this, that looking back, and I think Matt would agree with me, he kind of hinted at it yesterday, but I don't think he said it out loud. The fact that you got as much out of Mitch Trubisky as you did, looking back on it now, is more of an accomplishment this far removed than it was at the time. You know what I mean?
That's fair. Yeah. And he wasn't the one that was responsible for picking Trubisky versus picking Patrick Mahomes. So, I mean, you can't put that on him. He was just the guy that was there trying to coach him. So, I get it. I don't see why people are so enamored with Nagy. And we're going to get into this here in a minute. And Ryan, you led the show off with saying exactly kind of how I feel about this. He's not going to be back in Kansas City. It doesn't matter whether or not he gets a head coaching job. He's going to be somewhere else. If he doesn't get a head coaching job, he'll be an offensive coordinator somewhere else because he doesn't have a contract in Kansas City. And honestly, I don't think the Chiefs really want him back. There are different reports saying that there's going to be a house cleaning. We'll see. I don't know if I really agree with that, although I think that it's needed in some ways. But I can't see him back. I can't see any scenario where he's back based on the way things went.
I can't either. And where the landing spot is one thing. What happens to replace it is next. There are a ton of candidates. Maybe one guy named Cliff is your next OC. We'll get to that coming up next.
Let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming. Between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month, it's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has time to track every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lowers your bills so you can grow your savings. I was shocked when Rocket Money showed me I was paying for different subscriptions that I thought I had canceled a long time ago. I had completely forgot about them, and it's already saved me money. I love how it tracks all my subscriptions, lets me cancel them right in the app with just a few taps. No more hunting down customer service numbers. The automatic transaction categorization is a game changer. I can finally see exactly where my money is going each month. You can set budgets and goals, get personalized insights, and receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, and low balances. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game during the playoffs, FanDuel is giving away customers even more ways to get into the action, because right now, every NFL playoff game, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. So each game day, you'll get a pack loaded and multiple profit boosts that you can apply to your bets you like the most, whatever that happens to be. Just open your profit boost pack first thing on game day, and you'll see what boosts you want to apply. You can pick them. You can do them in their order. They give you more juice on the bets that you already like and make them pay out more. If you make your picks and you like them, you can apply the profit boost to anywhere to get even bigger payouts on the playoffs as they get rolling. So visit FanDuel and make sure they're the official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day at FanDuel. Okay, so Matt Nagy aside, a lot of fans will be happy with the departure that we do see forthcoming, but it opens up a ton of questions about, okay, who will come in, who would be on the candidate list. There's a lot of intriguing names. One thing that I will say, I'm very much against promoting from within. I hope that that's not the way that they go. I think they need fresh blood. There's a lot of options out there. Who's at the top of your list? Because I talked with Matt about this a little bit yesterday.
Before we go there, really quick, do you count Mike Kafka as promoting from within? I know he's not technically within now, but he was within the sphere at one point.
True, and I do not count him as within the building now. I would think, given his experience with Dable and with the Giants, I think that would bring some fresh perspective back as well.
So you would be okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one I'm interested in right now, in there's lots of different people talking about lots of different names, and there's actually a couple names I'm interested in. Cliff Kingsbury, I'm kind of surprised he was let go from the Commanders. Think he could possibly maybe get an opportunity to be a head coach. There's several different openings. The question is can he get that opportunity? I think he did okay with what he had with Jane Daniels. His experience with Patrick Mahomes makes you wonder. And the other reality, and you and I kind of talked about this the other day, the other reality here, when you start looking at who the next head coach is going to be, or sorry, who the next coordinator is going to be, is it going to be somebody that can take over as your head coach in the near future? Because Andy Reid isn't coached until he's almost 80.
Yeah, I agree with you. I personally do not think that Cliff Kingsbury is the way to go here. Yes, he has some insight to Patrick Mahomes, but I fear a regression, to be honest. The last time these two worked together, Patrick was running for his life, throwing from maybe the worst footwork platform that we saw in the first round since then. I had serious concerns about whether he was going to be able to grow out of it. I now have concerns about Patrick taking a regression in some of his mechanics or some of his concepts back to the days when he was with Cliff. So I personally would avoid that. Now, Cliff's gone through an evolution as well. Everybody learns from what they do. So I can't say that it would be exactly the same. But I don't think his tenure as a head coach, to your second point, makes him a candidate that I'm really looking for there. I personally would like to stay on the offensive side, but I want somebody that's a little bit more down to earth, somebody that's a little bit more forwardly aggressive. And I like the concept. If Stefanski does not get a head coaching job, bring him in as a coordinator, even if it's for a year or two.
That would be a home run hire. I don't know that I could be more excited about a offensive coordinator than Stefanski, just because of all the experience that he would bring to this roster and all the different experience that he would bring to this roster, into this team. So I would absolutely love that. Another name that's out there, and I'm going to butcher this one, Shilhase, is it Shilhase? I don't. Rams passing game coordinator, I believe.
Yeah. Good luck.
No, I understand. I get it. Good luck.
No, I meant with the pronunciation. That's fine.
Well, yeah. My whole point is I just think that would be an interesting one. I think he's done a great job with the Rams passing game, and he's a young up and coming coach. Like I do think that's, and it's not necessarily him specifically near as much as like, I do like the thought process of him specifically because of what he's done. But I also like the thought process of going with somebody young and somebody that doesn't necessarily have a lot of OC experience, because to me, I think that's something Andy can help with. And if you go get a young guy, it puts you in a better position to have somebody to maybe take over down the road. Because I still think 5 seasons at max for Andy Reid.
Yeah, that's kind of where I lay out too. And time changes everything for everyone, but it certainly makes sense that way. Now, Stefanski might be in line for an actual head coaching job this cycle. It feels a little rushed to me, but he's not the only option out there. There's other guys getting head coaching interviews, guys like Clint Kubiak of all places that obviously is rooted in offense. That could be an interesting wrinkle. A guy who knows the AFC West pretty dang well. So, like, I think that is another interesting twist on the guys that are out there, possibly.
Yeah, and there's lots of different guys that could be out there, but the question becomes, when you start looking at this, are you going to be going and trying to hire somebody that is going to take? I mean, you can't really even interview the Rams guy until they're out of the playoffs at this point. Are you going to be waiting that long to do that? Because the other side of that, and the interesting thing on talking about a guy like Cliff Kingsbury, for example, I think Nate Taylor said something about him, and that if he came to Kansas City, he would be bringing some of his guys or some of his types of guys for the different positional coaches, which is one of the reasons why I think that this would be an interesting hire, because I do think some of the positional coaches need to be replaced as well. And I think all of that is going to play into how you're going to get this done. So if you wait until you go get a guy that you want that is on a playoff team, you might be waiting until the second week of February before you can even really have an interview with him. Do you want to do that?
It depends on how well you think, A, you can land him, and B, that he's the guy that you want. And nothing against Nate, but you're kind of stating the obvious when you say a coordinator is going to come in and bring his own position coaches. That is standard practice across the league. It's the exception that a coordinator comes in and the rest of the position coaches don't have at least an opportunity to change.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that, except for the fact that Andy Reid generally doesn't do things that way. I mean, yeah, but look at what he's done in the past when he brought back Matt Nagy. Yeah, I know it's Matt Nagy. Kind of the same thing with EB. They brought on their own guys. They brought on their guys that they already had, and they've just kind of promoted within. They didn't bring their own guys. So I don't know. That's the thing that worries me with Andy, is that he is going to be looking for an OC that will come in and just keep what he already has there. And I think that's a severe problem.
I agree. I think the only risk there, I agree. And I think the only risk there is if it is Kafka or an internal hire itself. Anybody else, the expectation is they're going to bring at least some of their own assistants with them. So that opens a lot of doors. This offense has to change. And no matter who it is, they have to be able to play without Patrick Mahomes for at least a little bit. This offense has to run when we get back. Hey guys, the draft picks are in. They're set for so many teams. They're looking for a franchise quarterback. If you ever wish to become a QB yourself, getting drafted first overall by the Chiefs, or like this year, the actual Raiders, now you can. There's a mobile game just for you. Ultimate QB football legend. In this game, you step into the cleats of the number one draft pick. It's your job to lead your team to greatness. The number one career mode game on mobile app stores, and it introduces the most realistic environment for a full career control. You sign contracts, train, upgrade yourself, build chemistry, and evolve with your teammates. Give input to your GM on roster moves, play the actual games in 2D, and rise up the ranks to become a pro football legend. Ultimate QB is totally free. There's no ads. It works 100% offline. Perfect for you want to sneak a quick game in or two on the go. Just head over to ultimate-qb.com. That's ultimate-qb.com, or search Ultimate QB in your favorite app store. We've got something special for you guys. Use the promo code LOCKEDON in all caps in the game store, and you'll get a free boost to start your career at Ultimate QB, the football legend QB1. It's your legacy. Now, I'm very intrigued by what it could mean if a new outside of the program offensive coordinator were to be installed. Things would be able to look different, quite frankly. And I think one thing that we can't overlook is, yes, the hope is that Patrick Mahomes is back for week 1 and is cleared to practice at least. But even if he's cleared to practice about that time, if he hasn't been through training camp, he's not going to be terribly ready. So I still believe that there's at least a 50-50 chance that someone else has to start at quarterback for the beginning of the season, somewhere between 1 and 8 games. So I do believe that whoever that is has to be able to not only work with Patrick Mahomes, but be able to install an offense with Andy Reid that is more multifaceted, protects the quarterback better, and that means the run game. So we know about the players, and we will get back to the personnel, the draft, et cetera, folks. We know the players have to be replaced, but so does the scheme in the run attack.
I'm laughing because it's just shocking to me that you go to the running attack.
I'm just saying, when it makes sense, it makes sense.
No, I get it. And I can't, honestly, I can't disagree. They have to get the running game fixed to an extent. I think you and I might disagree on to the extent that they need to get the running game fixed. But they do need to get the running game fixed. And the bigger question, and I know we're not talking personnel, but the bigger question is, what are they going to invest in that position? Because we've seen what they've generally invested in. It hasn't really produced. Is that part of what has caused them to be where they are in the running game, or is it more the scheme, the blocking scheme, and the types of running backs that they've gone after? I mean, there's an argument to be made that they overcorrected from their Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick and went a completely different direction, went completely opposite of 180 to do the running back room. And I don't think you can do that. You have to find a happy medium. I don't know where that medium comes in. You and I will argue, and I don't think we'll argue on this. I don't think that there's any way, shape, or form Kansas City should be looking at a pick in the first round. Don't really think that they should probably be looking at a running back in the second round. But when you start looking at how the offense is going to be laid out, I do think that could affect who they hire as their offensive coordinator, who they have as their position coaches, could definitely affect who they take in the first and second round. Because one of the things that I think that they could be looking at, even though they seem to have it, maybe they look at offensive line. Maybe they make some changes and kind of look at the way that they do their offensive line, which changes their scheme and changes their need at the offensive line position. I think you probably feel pretty good that you have 4 of the 5 offensive line pretty much set for the next 2 years, but you don't have a right tackle past next year. And I'm not going to be upset if they are of the thought process of, I'm going to go protect Patrick Mahomes and get the best right tackle I can if somebody's sitting there at number 9. I'm not going to be upset about that, because look at what happened to Mahomes when he has protection. Generally speaking, he does very well. So
I'm glad you teed this up so well, folks. My mock draft extravaganza goes up on RGR Football tomorrow. Make sure you go subscribe to that. And I've actually already gone through that, because you're absolutely right. There's nothing to preclude them from a right tackle. So if you're at 9, I have a couple of working scenarios that I've been able to prove out through multiple simulators of getting to the point where you garner and you gather picks by dropping down the draft order, still getting into the upper 20s and getting a starting right tackle for the future. And I do think if the pass rushers are gone, that is a viable strategy for this draft. I'll get all the way into it on RGR, but I'm glad that you had the idea.
No, and that's the key. Like, we're talking offense, so I'm focusing there, but that's the absolute key, is you absolutely need to add pass rush. But there's no guarantee that you're going to be sitting there at 9 and being able to get the type of pass rusher that you actually want and that you think will fit your system. We're going to talk about Spags. We're going to talk about the defense on Friday's show, so we'll get into that more. But the reality is that maybe there isn't a pass rusher that they think is worth the number 9 pick there, and they don't want to trade up to go get the guy that they really want, because not only is it going to cost you more to trade up from 9 that it is normally to go up 3 or 4 spots, it's going to cost you, I I don't know what it would cost you. Depends on what you're going up, how high you want to go up. But going up that much higher when you're already at 9 is going to cost you a lot more than just a couple of picks later on in the first round. So it's a completely different scenario than you're normally in. And this team has a ton of needs. So trading up really probably shouldn't be the thought process. And I will say this, though, as well. I'm not going to care if they change the scheme a little bit and they change how they're going to be doing things. I'm not going to really care if they go any position on offense other than QB or running back. I don't care if they go get a wide receiver, if there's one that they like sitting there. I don't care if they get a tight end, if there's one that they fall in love with sitting there. Maybe you don't stay at 9 to get those positions filled, but the point is you need to add to this offense, and you absolutely need to add talent to it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think that the talent portion of it has to be a fit. So whoever does replace Matt Nagy as offensive coordinator, whether it's somebody from within like Joe Blameyer or even a returner like Mike Kafka, you're going to see something. If it's one of those two guys, you're going to see mostly a continuation of what we've seen. Even Mike Kafka, who I think has been exposed to other things and other ways to address not only the run game, but a dedicated passing attack. I hope that he brings a fresh perspective. But other than that, you're going to see a lot of the status quo.
Really quick, I feel like because they've avoided really addressing the tight end position for as long as they have, like, I don't know, maybe they feel like they're going to have to go out and go get, especially if Travis Kelce comes back before the draft and says he's retiring, maybe that justifies them going and spending their top pick on a tight end. I'm not going to hate it because they absolutely have used a tight end to be extremely successful for the past however many years. And one of the other keys here is you're looking at a situation where you have Patrick Mahomes not necessarily guaranteed to play this season. Why not have somebody that can step in and help a more than likely young QB at the tight end position, help him in that regard, and get ready for when Patrick Mahomes is able to play in full in 2027.
Yeah, Andy Reid's preference is that the offense runs through a tight end, always has been.
Mm-hmm.
Had to move around that a couple times. We may have to see that again, and we'll look at that option here coming up next week because tomorrow we're going defense, and the interest in Spags is real. What that means and what that opens up for possibilities is where we are going tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting show, and you guys know that I love to talk defense. So take your Friday, spend a little bit of time with us. I think you're going to enjoy it because I certainly am. Thank you for being with us. Thanks for being in every day, or have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.